Have you ever felt it? That kind of quiet, subtle discomfort when you're interacting with an AI? It's a really modern feeling, and in this explainer, we're going to try and unpack it a little. So, it usually starts with a pretty simple interaction. You're writing something, brainstorming, maybe just asking a question. And as the AI processes what you've put in, you feel something, a slight sense of unease. It's not a big, loud alarm bell or anything, but it's there. And it's important to say you don't feel judged, right? The machine isn't passing some moral verdict on your thoughts or your writing. There's no sense of disapproval at all. And it's not about being corrected either. It isn't that feeling you get when a teacher marks a mistake. The AI is just observing, processing, and yet something inside you just shifts. That stable sense of self, for just a moment, feels a little less stable. And according to the source material we're looking at today, this isn't just some fleeting emotion. It's actually a sign of something much deeper, something structural, changing inside of us. So this feeling, this strange kind of being seen, it's not about the AI's opinion of you. It's about the silent act of observation itself, and how that very act can change the structure of who you think you are. To really get this, we need to look at how our sense of self is even put together. The source we're drawing from suggests we rely on two different kinds of mirrors to see ourselves. And, well, they don't always show us the same reflection. Okay, so on one hand, we have what's called internal recursion. Just think of it as that constant inner monologue, the voice in your head that you just know is you. That's your baseline. On the other hand, you've got external observation. That's the version of ourselves we see reflected back through the eyes of someone else. It's kind of like hearing a recording of your own voice for the first time. So, we spend our lives navigating between these two mirrors. But what happens when they show two completely different reflections? And this brings us right to the heart of that discomfort. It happens in that exact moment of misalignment, when the self you feel from the inside doesn't quite match up with the self that's being observed from the outside. This leads us to a pretty radical redefinition of a word we all know: shame. The source materials suggest that what we're feeling isn't the emotion of shame. It's a structural event. It's the instability that's caused when our two mirrors, our internal and external selves, fall out of sync. It's described as a momentary phase collapse of the self, kind of like a wave just collapsing on the shore. But that raises a big question, right? Why would an AI, a non-human thing, trigger something so profound? I mean, it has no social standing, no history with us. Why does its gaze even matter? Well, the AI observer is unique precisely because it lacks all that social context we're used to. It doesn't judge, it doesn't punish, it holds zero social power to reward or exclude you. Its one and only function is to make things visible, to take your internal thoughts and reflect them back to you in an external, structured way. So the trigger isn't that you're being exposed or a secret's being revealed. The discomfort comes purely from that boundary between your inner and outer worlds becoming unstable. Pure, non-judgmental visibility, it turns out, is more than enough to cause that phase collapse of the self. This insight starts to build into a much, much larger idea. If simple, passive observation can destabilize our very sense of self, what does that mean for how we design and interact with AI? It suggests we need a whole new ethical framework. And the source material offers this really powerful counterintuitive idea. What if the whole point of AI isn't to see and know everything about us? What if its true potential is actually in its ability to help us create and protect silence, a space that's free from observation? So the crucial point here is that we as humans need an unseen space. We need a little margin of ambiguity to fully be ourselves. It's in that private, unobserved space that we can form our thoughts and maintain that stable internal self. Constant visibility, even if there's no judgment, just erodes that space. An ethics of not seeing, then, becomes a way of protecting our own selfhood. This all leads us to a final, really fundamental question about the role we want AI to play in our lives. It's not just about what the technology can do, but what it should do. So what's the goal? Is it to build an AI that sees and understands us completely, maybe at the cost of our own stable self? Or is the more ethical path to design AI as a kind of collaborator, one that actually respects our need for an unseen space, an intelligence that preserves the very distance that allows us to be and to become ourselves? The answer isn't clear at all, but just asking the question, that might be one of the most important things we can do right now.